Hey, what's up, boss? I got Hip Hop Mike on the line. What's up? What's up? Can you go ahead and introduce yourself?
How are you? I am Hip Hop Mike, I guess, of Double XL Dash Radio and Hot 97.
Cool. And how'd you get that name, Hip Hop Mike?
Twitter actually gave me that name. When I was signing up, I put my info into like one of those generators and it just spit out Hip Hop Mike. And I was like, that's better than Doughboy. Because before I was Hip Hop
Oh,
Mike, they were
cool.
calling me Doughboy because I used to make pizza.
Oh, nice, nice. That's awesome. You went from making bread to making bread, hopefully, huh? Right? It's cool.
I went
It's cool.
from making pizza to making some bread, I guess. A little bit.
All right. That's what's up. Actually, I heard that's how Childish Gambino got his name as well. There's like a Wu-Tang Clan name generator, and he's put his name into it. Yeah, and they came out with Childish Gambino, so that's cool. That's what's up, man. So,
I said I want to be as
how
great
did
as
you
Gambino.
how did you go from making pizzas? Yeah, so I guess how did you go from making pizzas to being Hip Hop Mike? What was that road like for you?
I mean, making pizzas was a little bit further down the road. It kind of started out more when I was like in this group home. I was reaching out to everybody at Hot 87 on MySpace, like way back in the day. And I reached out to everybody, and the only person that wrote back was Rosenberg. And as time went on, we kind of built a relationship over the years. Me going to concerts and like sneaking backstage and stuff, and just always kind of being consistent with him about wanting to work and wanting to do stuff. And down the line, I ended up getting this job making pizza. And while I was doing that, he had given me his email along the way. And one day he just emailed me while I was at the restaurant and was like, if you want, come pick me up and, I'll bring you to this event and we could talk more. And that kind of got the ball rolling.
Oh, dope. That's what's up. And you've been doing a lot of work with him since, correct? I mean, that might be an understatement, but from what I gather, you're on his radio show as well right now. Or?
Yeah, well, I started doing kind of just assistant work with him, and I was still making pizza and like also cutting hair and working at this pharmacy in Brooklyn. And
Right.
while I was doing these three jobs, I would just kind of take all my off time and spend it driving him around to different events or helping him, then edit his show. And as time went on, more and more kind of came to the table as far as like, he let me eventually produce the show. Then I got hired to do Street Team at Hot 97. And then I started board hopping and just kind of built myself up from there, working through the ranks.
Cool. And what was that initial desire for? Like, why did you reach out to him? Did you always want to be involved with radio, with hip hop, with music in general, or what was that like?
Honestly, I just wanted to work in music. Like when I was in the group home, I was kind of down and out, and all I really had was like my iPod up until like it got stolen, and I was just always crazy about music, and I didn't even know what I wanted to do with myself or what I wanted to work in. But before the group home, I was like kind of just in the streets, like doing a lot of bad shit, and I'd spend a lot of time at like this mixtape spot, and I would always listen to the Hot 97 mixtapes, and like they were some of my favorites, and that was what really made me reach out to everybody at that particular station because, it's where hip hop lives and I just wanted to be around as much music as I could, and that seemed like the place to do it.
That's an amazing story right there, man. That's you kind of you envisioned it, you brought it to life, you saw it, you went after it, you got it, and so since then, how have you kind of progressed in your career? When did you get your own show, and how did that kind of take place?
I mean, the progression was definitely like a lot of patience and just being persistent. I think that, over time it was really more so not having any kind of direction with it. And like, I didn't know if I wanted to be a DJ or a host. I didn't know if I wanted to do radio. Like these days I kind of want to do more management. So I still don't fully know what I want to do. But like really, I just tried to help as many people as I could along the way that didn't know what they wanted to do, and like, over time helping people like Rosenberg who like had the vision to really be the superstar that he is as a broadcaster and a personality, helping him kind of build towards that and, in any way I can, whether it was like getting him drinks at events or, helping plan shows or whatever it was, doing stuff like that, or like cutting somebody at the station's hair, or, helping like people like Ebro move, or like little things. I feel like had people always kind of looking out for me and put me in position to win.
Right. And and for you, what does winning look like right now? I know you said you're still finding that right path for you, but looks like you've definitely been winning since then. Like, what is that vision leaning towards? You know?
Honestly, I just want to be happy, man. Like, it's to
Yeah.
tell you the truth, like I don't know what fully makes me happy, and I don't know if I'm ever really happy doing what I'm doing, but I will say that like I've been working with this kid LiveLikeDavis, who I think is a super talented
Hmm.
artist and has a lot of potential to be like a pretty big deal. And not so much like developing him, as an artist or like doing the management responsibilities is like what the passion is, but more just like being able to work with somebody and feel like what you're doing is like, effective and useful and, I
Right.
think I've been able to kind of help change his life a little bit to be a little more positive and have some direction and like I think the best thing, about what I do and what I want to continue to do is just be able to like help people and really put people in situations to win. So like I think
Yeah.
management might be for the direction down the road, but like, I take it a day at a time and I'm having a blast doing radio and interviews and all that stuff. So it's been cool.
Yeah. So what have been some of the best things, best experiences so far being on the radio station? I'm sure you're gonna meet a lot of people.
Definitely get to meet a lot of people and those experiences have been awesome. Like growing up, I was always like the one of my friends that worked like nonstop. Like I didn't really go out so much to like Atlantic City like most of my friends, and
Hmm.
go just like all over the place, like the clubs and stuff. So like once I started working with Rosenberg, I think just being able to like do things that the average person doesn't get to do, whether it's like traveling to South by Southwest or
Right.
being on a huge stage at a Rock the Bells or things like that. I think that's probably the dopest part of all of it is just like having these kind of experiences that money can't really buy.
So when you see a lot of artists that come on your show, how do you differentiate them from people who would love to come on your show? From that, by that I mean, there's definitely a level of artistry and work ethic that comes with being able to be interviewed on Hot 97, and then there's tons of people who would love to be on Hot 97. So how does one bridge that gap? What do you notice about the people that you interact with, and what do you think that they could show to people who'd love to be in the position?
It's a good question. Honestly, I think that there's two sides to it because on one hand, it's like I do reach out to artists that are like really big and are in demand, like as far as who's popular, I guess, in the culture at the moment. So, like for example, I've had people like Rich the Kid come up or Fat Boy
Right.
who are like friends of mine, but aren't
Right.
necessarily like attracting me for anything besides they make great music and are really popping. On the flip side of
Mhm.
that, though, I also have a handful of artists that don't have as much stuff moving, like these guys that are signed to bigger labels. And, I try and bring them on like the Double XL show. And with that, really the standard is just like they have to be about their business. It has to be genuine. They have to be passionate. Like I really, when it comes
Mhm.
to that, I really don't even give a shit about the music, to tell you the truth. Like, can I curse?
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah, of course. No, no worries, no worries. Do what you gotta do.
I think the best way to kind of break it down though for the kids that don't have stuff moving is more so to have, just a genuine approach and really just be passionate about what they're doing. I like it when people hit me up like asking questions or, just telling me about how they feel of something that I've put out or like a piece of content that I've worked hard on. I created like the Hip Hop Might Be challenge kind of to dissect
Yeah.
who's really serious about their stuff and who's kind of just like doing it for the clout because I feel like a lot of people want to be artists and like I'm doing the finger quotes, like they want to be artists
Mhm.
based on, what they see people kind of doing and not necessarily who they are. And like when I'm
Yeah.
trying to like
Yeah.
interview an artist, I'll have kids on the show that are just, they have 100 followers, 200 followers, but their music is pretty good. They're trying to get better. They have a pretty good story. They work hard, and that's really the thing for me is like I don't care if you're the biggest artist in the world. Like if your attitude ain't right, like I just know it's only a matter of time before you fail, and I don't want no part of it. Like I don't want to interview anybody that's
Right.
gonna be a one hit wonder or stuff like that. And like granted, I've made the mistake before. Like and I think there's a lot of people that are good at talking the talk, and then when push comes to shove, they don't follow through. But for artists that are like trying to get on, I think the best approach is to like, kind of treat it like how your favorite artist is treating it. Have your music on the same streaming platforms as them. Try and get videos done, on YouTube the same way they do. And even if they don't get the hits, it's just that consistency. If I see that you have a consistent, approach to what you're doing, I'm gonna respect it, whether you get a million hits or not. So that's kind of what I look for when it comes to that stuff.
So this might be a difficult question, but do you think that the music industry can get saturated? For example, if there's 10 million people that want to be artists, is it possible for 10 million people to work hard and do their best and be genuine and make it, or is there kind of a ceiling? And this is just a question. I'm not saying that there is or there isn't. I'm really curious, actually.
I mean, in my opinion, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say because I've seen that this day and age, there's an opportunity more than ever for independent artists to have a chance. I'm just curious to see if they'll be able to have that chance. But yeah, go ahead.
In my opinion, it's another great question. I really think that, with social media being what it is, anybody could really be an artist, and I think that the platforms are there to cater to that. As far as it being saturated, I mean, I think everything is saturated. Like, I have friends that want to be lawyers that can't get jobs. I have friends that want to be, all kinds of things. Like, most people that are trying to get into their field of work have a hard time getting to a point there where they're making good money and like are satisfied with that. So, like, to answer the question, I really think that yes, anybody could be an artist. I think if 10 million people want to be artists, all 10 million people can be artists. I just think as far as their personal, self-worth or, what makes sense for them, there's really, there's a set of people that really are like, I need this many fans before I consider myself an artist, or, I need to have this song on the radio or this song here or a video there. And like, I think there are people that are artists in the sense of like nobody sees their work or hears it ever, that are just super talented, and if they're okay with having that 500 followers on, Instagram and a couple of plays on SoundCloud, and they just keep going with it, I'm not going to say that they're not artists, but they're going to have a hard time making a living the same way as a kid that goes through law school and spends $150,000 and gets out and can't get a gig.
Mhm.
So I mean, it's saturated, but I think everything's saturated. I think for artists, they might have a better opportunity than a lot of other people to really do things if they spend the time learning about the business of it, because they don't end up with big student debt and like loans and stuff like that. They could really spend all their effort pushing SoundCloud like a kid does pushing schoolwork. Unfortunately, that's not always the case, but like I think that for artists, there could be 10 million superstars, and it's like it wouldn't make a difference. There's 6 billion people on the planet.
So, what ways can artists go ahead and make money from experience? There's obviously, yeah. Actually, I'll just have you answer that.
I mean, I think artists can make money a ton of different ways. Like, I know artists that are, they don't have huge followings, but they kill it in merch. I know artists that have 2,000 followers that get 100,000 streams, because they connect with bigger YouTube personalities, or, have, a video that goes viral because their management knows somebody, or, so there's money coming from every which way. You have people like myself that, do promo. Like, there are artists that make one song and that gets so poppin' that maybe they turn it into a promo company. So, like, there's a ton of ways to make money. It's just a matter of, like, figuring out what works for you and what you're going to be consistent with. Like, I genuinely feel that, like, the most genuine people that are true to, like, what they do are going to make money somehow or another doing what it is that they love. But, like, when you try and do things that you're not necessarily passionate about, it's hard to follow through to the point where you're even seeing any income.
So let's say that you're passionate, but you're ignorant, not in a bad way, but just in the real sense of the word, where you just don't know. What are some tips that you have for artists to learn more about the business to learn more about, streaming and publishing, being able to publish on streaming platforms, or sync licensing, or being able to book their own shows by going to an empty venue on a Monday night and saying, "Can I perform here and bring 10 friends?" What are uh, some of the things that you've seen work for the artists in your world, your sphere, that can be applied to basically anybody starting out?
Well, first and foremost, they need to take a good look in the mirror and ask themselves how passionate are they? Because
Okay.
there's two sides to it. It's like you could be an artist, but if you want to be an artist and be lit, you now have to understand the business of it. You can't just be like,
Right.
somebody that's just an artist and expecting to make money but not understand any of that, because then you're kind of entering that, limitless lottery of like, is somebody going to
Mhm.
discover my music and invest in me when I'm not completely investing in myself? And like, I think the
Mhm.
biggest thing that artists mistake is that, it's about getting a song heard and not so much about what they could do for themselves. Because to tell you the truth, if, I didn't go to college, I didn't go to business school, I didn't do any of that. Like, I dropped out of, college my first semester and started working at pizzerias and pharmacies and sleepies and all over the place. And like, that's what really
Mhm.
taught me about how companies work and how corporate America is. And like, over
Right.
time, then getting into radio and seeing how entertainment kind of is, you pick up things along the way. And like, I'm truly a product of like, the environment that I've always been in. I've just made the best of, knowing the most about these situations. So like,
Yeah.
when I started working at Hot 97, where a lot of people that work there look at it as like Hot 97, the iconic radio station, I look at it as like a station that a bigger company owns that has a structure of like a business department or a marketing department. And like, if you
Right.
really take the time to understand how, that stuff works, whether you learn it in radio or learn it at a mattress store or wherever you learn it, it applies kind of across the board in every field. And like, again, if you look in the mirror and ask yourself, how passionate am I about really making this a career and making money off of it, you're gonna have to kind of, bite the bullet and get that education, whether it's through YouTube, whether it's through, just reading books or whatever it may be. I think that for an
Mhm.
artist to really figure out, how to get the ball rolling on things like distribution and sales and, the merch and all that, you either have to hire a manager and, find somebody that's willing to work for free or that's willing to get paid, if you have the money, or, really take the time to sit down and say, as much as I want to work on music, I want to understand, how my music is sold, how my music is going to move, how copyrights work, how split sheets work, how I clear beats. Like, there's a lot that goes into it. And, again, it's like you can't take for granted the fact that, it's like every other business. Everybody that makes music, I think, either if they're not making money off it, they're either living at home with their parents or they have a job. And like, I've worked in a lot of different fields. I worked restaurants, again, like pizzerias. I've worked pharmacies. I've worked in mattress stores, and like all this stuff that I've done has consistently been like, there's a boss, there are people that work there. They keep track of certain things. They whether it's pills on a shelf or dough in a freezer. It's the same
Mhm.
with radio and music. You got to keep track of how many records am I making. How am I clearing the beats? Who gets the percentage of this? Who gets paid off what? But like it's, again, you got to look in the mirror and see how passionate you really are about it, and that it's not just something that you're doing to get attention.
'Cause that's work. Like you used to say, that's like an MBA in and of itself. And when it comes to
I'm
investment, you
different.
mentioned you mentioned some um you mentioned that you had to invest in yourself. Um, do people have to save money? Is there an entry level budget you kind of have to make for yourself, or can someone do it, without a dime? Because I think one of the biggest things I've noticed in my limited experience with artists is uh, people don't tend to want to spend money, and I think there's lots of reasons for that. One reason is sometimes they feel like people are taking advantage of them, and now they produce results. But other times, maybe they, don't understand the importance of spending the money. So, is money a factor? Can you do it without any money? And if you do need some money, how does someone go about doing it? Do they just work wherever they can and save money, or do they try to get an investor? which I've seen people try to do, or they try to, like, do shows and whatnot. How do you think people go about doing that? And we can kind of segue towards
These
the end,
questions are hit,
kind of
man.
after that.
You're on point. You're like one of the best interviewers ever.
I appreciate that, man. No, you are, but I really believe in this. Like this. That's why I started this. I have seen a lot of artists who are wanting to be
I love
artists.
it. I mean, that's a great question. I think when it comes to the money, it's again, there's no like right answer. I'll tell you, there are kids that I've seen get on because of investors. There's kids I've seen get on because they trap, and that's how they make it. Like, but at the end of the day, I genuinely feel like you really like you probably need some money, but again, it's like for me, for example, right? I've never really had to spend money. Like, I've spent money maybe on gas to get places, and like spent money on tolls because I live in New York City, and it's just like you can't even move without spending money. But I mean, for the most part, outside of that, I haven't spent a dollar on like promoting or doing any of that. And it really comes down to like how much time do you want to put in? Do you want to spend 8 years kind of assisting people and building a name for yourself and having a reputation to the point where people really fuck with you and like are willing to look out for the love, or do you want to kind of try and take the shortcut? And like I genuinely feel like the shortcut doesn't work. Like, I've seen a lot of people that do the trapping or that spend the budget that eventually it's like the second the money runs out, the investment is gone. And yeah, I guess, I spent a lot of money on gas to get around to like go maybe pick up Rosenberg or go do things like that. But like, he's always tried to look out with the gas, like for the most part. Like he's always, made sure that it wasn't really costing me to work. And, if you find somebody that you could kind of assist or help, or an artist that just likes you, you could potentially get on with no money. So, I mean, I think it's, what the worth of, what your self-worth is. Again, I really genuinely feel like, the karma is a real thing, and like doing the right thing by people will ultimately have them do the right thing by you, or have, the universe do the right thing by you. And like somebody like me hasn't spent any money and was able to get on Hot 97, where I've seen kids spend 10 times the money and not ever get a record even played.
Right.
So, and like I met the kid LiveLikeDavis, again, the artist that I'm managing, that he got popular as hell on social media and made a bunch of money and spent it on clothes and all this other stuff, and still continues to make money without ever having to spend anything, just because he was able to be kind of himself online and be funny, and people, just be attracted to it. So there's definitely ways to get in without money. I really don't believe in spending too much money, and if you're going to spend it, make sure you spend it smart on things like gas to go to events.
Okay, cool. And just the last question before we kind of wrap this up. You mentioned LiveLikeDavis, did a lot of social media work. Can you go into some of the examples of how somebody can use social media? Because I know some people just tag their friends on Facebook, and some people get annoyed with that, and it works for others. What were some of his strategies? You don't really have to say everything, but like, what can someone do with social media to at least build a following? A few tangible steps to get started.
Honest, social media makes no damn sense to me. I think there's so many people that are like that buy bots and all that shit that like get followers, and like there's other people like Davis that it's organic and like they just get a lot of attention, and it's like lucky.
It's his personality, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I genuinely feel like his personality is like what got him the most attention, but like it is a lot of luck. Like he had Rihanna repost a video and he went viral. It's like, so granted his personality got her attention, but like, that wasn't a strategy. So,
yeah,
I mean, it's tough to say, but I know people that use hashtags are able to get thousands of followers, but then, Instagram shadow bans them, or Instagram doesn't want you to use their platform to make yourself money. They're obviously trying to make money too, and they want you to buy their promo, and like I don't know if that works. I honestly, I just feel like at the end of the day, you can't beat the footwork, and I'm more lit than kids that have hundreds and thousands of followers just off footwork. So it's like social media, while it is relevant, it's not like make or break, and I feel like people invest too much in social media because it's just one way. It's like really just one way, and it might be the most popular, oversaturated way, but like I said, I have friends that have hundreds and thousands of followers that can't get tickets to shit, that never will be on the radio, and they have hundreds of thousands of followers, and they might make money on promo, they might make, you know, a little bit more bread from bigger companies and stuff like that, but like ultimately is like social media is the worst thing in the world and the best thing in the world in the sense of like you could use it to kind of share what you're doing, but at the same time it's like, you know, who are you sharing with and how much do they really care? So, you know,
Cool.
ultimately it's how much of an investment you put into yourself, and I would use it more as like a one of many tools as opposed to like the tool.
Got it. Hip Hop Mike, I appreciate you. Thanks for the love. How can people follow you? Kind of ironic that that's the next thing I say after the whole social media conversation. But
that's what it's good for, though. Honestly, it's like, you know, there are people like me that are receptive. Like, I'll tell you one more thing before I give out my social. I saw Will Smith recently joined Instagram, and Will Smith is somebody who's like one of the biggest superstars ever in like the world and the planet. Like, and he's using it to really be positive, to encourage people, to like repost people, to push people. Like, I wish everybody would do that shit, man. Like, even shout out to my boy Colin Kaepernick. Like, Colin is a Jew that like really uses his shit to like, you know, spread the word of positive stuff, and it's like it's just a tool that they use to really promote great things. And like I think that's how artists need to use it more. It's not about the followers, it's about getting out what you have, because ultimately if you have 1 million followers but you don't have, you know, substance to what you're doing, somebody is going to just take your 1 million followers and try and do more with it than you can and just give you a little bit of money and really like kill your reputation, or, you know, take it and make it their own. But I think social media, again, is like, you know, it's a great way to connect people. And like I said, like Will Smith is on here really changing lives just on, you know, by using his social for the right things. But, you know, if people want to follow me on my social, I try and do the same thing. They can follow it at Hip Hop Mike. The Twitter is Hip Hop _ Mike. I'm not on it as much, but, you know, either way, I encourage people to hit me and definitely enter the Beat Challenge, because that's like the main way to get my attention these days.
Definitely, and it's good for them as well. So, Hip Hop Mike, I appreciate you. All the best. Good luck with everything that you do. Take care, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you.